what we wanted to do today is just share that experience with you and hopefully do a little myth busting on some of the concerns you may have in deploying automation directly, as well as give you some insights on how to avoid unnecessary problems by gaining some of experience from Alan's firsthand work. Also in the room is Roman Reiner. He's another colleague of mine with Baco. He's our lead robot engineering specialist. And at the end, he'll join us up here to help with the Q&A. So we're going to plan to leave at least 10 minutes so that any of your questions can be addressed at the end. With that, let's go ahead and get a little introduction about our companies.
Let me introduce you to Baco. With over 50 years of industry and application experience, we deliver automation solutions with an entrepreneurial mindset. Our engineered solutions solve problems, save money, and improve system functionality, no matter the application. We're a distributor of Industry 4.0 leading component manufacturers with full-service engineering and manufacturing capabilities. We are the ideal partner for your motion control, fluid control, and automation requirements. Baco, dynamic automation experience.
All right, there's one commercial.
Most people just see a disc. At Discraft, we see over 40 years of innovation, driven by passion, consistency that inspires talent, built on a foundation, designed for success. Over 4 decades of experience behind your first throw.
Perfect. Anybody play disc golf or disc sports? Right on, so this is going to be fun for you. All right, so we're just going to keep the format pretty simple and give Alan a chance to just kind of give us the story, right? So Alan, I guess let's start at the beginning and help us understand what was the background of automation within Discraft and robotics, and where did you start in terms of a basis in your business with automation?
Well, I mean, James Kenner, the guy who founded the company, he came in and he says, we need to be able to live in Hawaii, come in, wake up in the morning, hit a button, the whole shop fires up, and we just run. That's his end goal. That's what he would like to do. So that's kind of what pushed me into starting to look into all the different collaborative robots and everything along that lines to be able to automate that shop and make his dream a reality for him. I mean, I didn't feel like it was my job to do that for them until he came in and said, that's what I want. So I was like, okay, I've never done automation. I've never done anything in my entire life that has anything to do with this. So to be able to start learning and getting into it, I found Baco, and they just started helping me along the whole ride with all the Universal and everything, and the help from these guys is what made it the reality that I have so far today.
Did you, so in that shopping phase, looking into different technologies, what was it about Universal Robots and Cobots in general that helped you make that decision to move forward with that technology?
Just getting to go around and playing with the difference, going to other conventions, going to everything like that, getting to see all of the Cobots that are out there and available. And I mean, I looked at 4 or 5 different companies and then kind of made my decision on how the controller, how easy it was to use that robot right off at the convention. Like, can I pick this up and start making it do something? Or how easy was it for them to program it to do their part at the convention? And I mean, when I ran into these guys, their display there, it made it too easy. It was like child's play. I'm like, I could get into this. This will be easy. And it wasn't, but we made it happen over there. And again, with the team that I have here with Baco, that it made it possible.
When you were looking at your shop floor and thinking about how to and where to put these, what was your driving your decisions? Where did you want to first start to use it? What was your application ideas, and what allowed you to decide on this application as your first one?
Well, we have to have an open floor space around our work area. I didn't want to have fencing and guarding and all that stuff that you need with an industrial robot. The guarding I have right now is a simple chain dividing the stampers from where the operators are working in conjunction with the robot. Just not having to completely close up my work cells and give the proper training to my employees to have them have the understanding for the collaborative robot and know what's going on instead of just completely caging them away from it and not letting them still be part of that work cell. We still have to have the people coming in and doing our QCs and stuff like that to keep it operating all the time. So it just, I needed the open floor space. That was basically the driving force behind it.
And so if you look back at the decision-making inputs, what was some of the things that you would need to see to verify that that was a good idea? Was, in terms of cost, employee engagement, what were some of those factors that you wanted to plan for and then later realize? Was there anything specific that you needed to see as a result?
I just needed to see output without the continual handling of all of our product. I mean, I cut out thousands of hours by putting this robot into place and saved everybody's hands from being dry as can be from touching cardboard boxes all day long, pulling these parts in and out. I needed to see that use out of the robot. That's what I needed,
When I visited the plant, it was, first of all, it's people that throw these discs know these discs well. The way they feel in your hand, the weighting, how they perform, they're as important to that disc golfer as a golf club would be to a regular golfer. And so in terms of the amount of steps that you would go through to handle that product, when you were looking at automation, how many times was an operator touching a disc through the process, before and after?
It was roughly about 7 times we were handling the product to get it from out of the injection mold machine and into a box to ship out to our customers. Now we handle that disc once. We pull it off of the belt, QC it when it's coming off the belt, and put it into the box, ship it right out the door now. I mean, it just, again, it saved thousands of hours of time to be able to get these products out. Now we're able to get these orders out in a much timely manner. We can accept more, more orders in, because we have the ability to push more out now, because we're not, handling that. It's not waiting on a shelf for a week and then handled another 3 times to get stamped and then being shipped out. So it was awesome.
All right, so I want to drill in a little bit into, obviously, the UR piece, and help understand and share, I guess, with the audience, what are some of those features? I kind of cue you up a little bit here on those, but I want to make sure they understand, this universal robot experience and how do you work with that? What are the things that you like about it? What are some of the things you've had to learn to do with that tool as a robot?
I've had to learn everything. Again, like I said, I have a sand and gravel background. I was a heavy-duty repairman for a concrete company. I come into Discraft, and of course they got hydraulic machines. It's no different. They just don't have wheels. So everything I had to learn from the automation side of it. I went down after I purchased our first UR from Beko. I got a class down at the Universal Robots down in Ann Arbor, and that just gave me the basics, training of how to program, use, operate the robot. And I mean, it was a huge hurdle. It's something, I mean, you have to have somebody in your company that has the willingness to want to learn and progress and see the company grow. And it's just incredible to watch that. And by automating everything and learning all these skills, and again, I can't say it enough, the help I got from Beko was just incredible to help me use all of these tools that I have. I mean, it was an incredible experience, and it still continues to be. And I mean, after deploying the first one, it took me 6 months or so to actually get the first one working in a work cell and then another 3 months after that to fine tune everything and make it work well. And now after that, I have 588,000 counts of how many parts I've ran through that after that. And then my second cell that I installed, took me 2 weeks. It was plug and play. I mean, once you get that first one figured out, it makes it so easy to just keep growing and continuing that on down the line.
Maybe those in the room don't know Baco at all, which is fair. We're an automation distributor. We've been working with Universal Robots since 2013. Our application engineering team is homegrown. Roman is a product of the Lawrence Tech University and the co-op program that Automation Alley helped fund for us. So in terms of our partnership with the Alley and this whole endeavor, it's all very well intertwined. And so to that end, and to your point, we're here definitely to bring that application experience. I think we have now about 400 robots in the Michigan manufacturing space, ranging from the best examples like Allen's with a small manufacturer figuring out how to solve their frontline problems, up to the largest automotive companies in our domain, using them in many cases in quality control applications to ensure that the product going out the back door is going to be reliable. And again, we have a booth out here, so feel free to stop by. We've got a range of technologies that support this technology domain for robots. We also have other technologies that are more basic in the market that have been with our company for a long time. And I think what you say and what we very much feel is critical is our ability to respond to your business demand as you're going through this journey. Our team knows the tools inside and out, and depending on whether you want us to coach you and help you get to that end game, or you want us to pick up the teach pennant and program it because you just don't have the time, we have the ability to cover all those bases. So that's just a little bit more about the Baco team. All right, let's get into the meat of this deployment. You mentioned about the training in Ann Arbor with Universal Robots. Any other steps that you had to take in terms of the learning curve? Just share some of that, I guess, in terms of some of those specifics that were helpful.
Real-time work. I mean, it lived with me in my shop for probably 3 months of the beginning when I was learning how to print all the end effectors and learning how to put it all together and build it and program it. I just lived with this robot for about 3 months just to learn ins and outs, how to get little things done, how to get little programming nuances taken care of. Roman was a huge help with that. I mean, it came down to the point where I'd just text him real quick and then he'd email me back, be like, oh, just move this over here and bam, you're good. It'll do what you're asking it to do.
Perfect.
It's a lot. But
And
it's
my
a lot
guess
of
is
fun.
as you do the third, fourth application, what we've seen is it's just naturally a learning curve. This is an industrial tool, and in many cases, we're trying to deploy those in the most basic function. Pick and place is where there's a lot of dull work that's not being manned up right now because of the labor shortages. But as you start stepping further into your application domain, the industrial features of the robot could definitely drive more training. So beyond that first step that you're in, the universal model enables advanced training for if you want to get into script coding and really taking ownership in let's say the back door of the robot controller because it's an open source tool. You can go really far with this technology, and obviously as your journey expands, we're here to make sure you get what you need at the right time in that training and support. So when you look at your first project, you mentioned it took months to get running and tuned in, let's say. What were some of those specific challenges that were there that you had to overcome so the folks would understand what will be normal in your first deployment?
Just building all the accessories for the robot, getting that to all work and communicate with the robot. That was a hurdle that took me a minute to get over. And then programming the robot itself. I mean, again, like I said, Roman helped me out a whole bunch with all of the programming on that, but it was easy enough to the point where I could put the base program together, and then I'd come across an issue where now my stack is a little shorter than what the last stack was coming in. I only have 36 parts compared to 38 parts. So to get it to go in and grab the part, oh, there's not one there, detect it doesn't have one, and then go back down and keep trying to go through the stack. So now I can feed this robot any size stack I want, and it'll just search until it finds it, and then grabs one, and then goes through the normal process. That was probably my largest hurdle that I was trying to get over. And then just getting my equipment to work with the robot. That was a challenge, to get my belt timings and to get all the sensors and everything I need. I mean, like I said, I didn't automate anything before. So going into this, I was going in completely blind and just learning as I'm going. What do I need here? What's going to solve this problem? What's going to take care of that problem? So it's worth having an employee in your business to have the drive like that, and then build a team around that person, and they will get the job done. It might take them a while. You got to be patient with them. I mean, automation doesn't happen overnight. So that's probably the biggest hurdle right there, is like just having that patience and time from your employer to let you do this, and have the faith that you'll get it done.
I mean, from our experience, there's no stronger lesson learned than shared right there. That it takes confidence to run daily production, and confidence comes with time, and finding out what didn't work in many cases to that end. Safety is always one of the biggest conversations around a collaborative robot deployment. And within Baco, we're adamant that our customers take the serious approach to their safety deployment. It's just simple. If we don't know that there's a risk assessment and a responsible reaction to that, then we're really uncomfortable in that sale, because it only takes one bad actor to make this play sour quickly. So to that end, tell me what you folks did to address the safety issue and how you managed all of that.
Well, I mean, the safety issues, it's very gray in the OSHA handbook. They don't give you super specifics of what they need, because, I mean, collaborative robots are so new to any industry out there right now. And so to get to where we needed to be, it's like they have basic standards of accelerations and speeds that you're allowed to achieve to continue it to be a collaborative robot. So to get your timing down, to be able to run your product how you need to and still stay under those accelerations and those speeds to keep it safe for the worker in there. And I mean, I've been hit by these robots a lot of times, and it doesn't hurt all that bad. So if you keep them speeds down, and then it comes down to proper training and guarding the equipment that runs with the collaborative robot. Because a hot stamper is not collaborative. If I touch that hot stamper, it's not going to not stamp if that robot tells it to. So you have to guard everything else but the robot almost. And then, like I said, I have a small safety chain so that you know when you open that safety chain and you walk into that cell, you're trained to know where that robot's going to be working, how it's going to move, which side, being able to tell. So it comes down to a lot of training as well on your employees to make sure they understand and are mindful of what that robot is doing while they're in there working in that cell with them. I mean, and then the risk assessment, did I get you the risk assessment?
No, but that's okay. Let's just speak to
it. And now on the risk assessment, we did that all in-house too. You can get a company to come out and do it for you. But again, with how Discraft is, we wanted to keep it in-house so we can manage and maintain all aspects of it within house. We don't wait on anybody. We don't have to wait for anybody to come and service it or change programs or anything. So the risk assessment was difficult at first because you look at it and you're just given a bunch of numbers to scale it, and then you put all these numbers together, and then you get your final assessment, depending on what you're working with. And I mean, it took my coworker Rick about 4 hours to learn how the whole risk assessment process worked, and then it took him about an hour to go do a risk assessment on each cell that we have out there. I mean, once you have the basic understanding of how that process works, won't take much time. And again, it takes that team of people and that patience to let them learn how it's done so that it can get done properly and you can keep it in-house and keep the cost of, these cells at reasonable.
You mentioned when we talked previously, you were actually engaged with MIOSHA in this process. Did that, maybe I misunderstood, but if you did, how did that work?
No, that helped a lot. We actually contacted OSHA themselves, and they have a guy that will come out, and he'll come and just help you. It's not a assessment. They're not coming out to write you your fines or bill you or anything along that line. They're coming out to help you understand what their requirements are for all the robot cells and what's happening around your shop. It doesn't hurt to call them in. I mean, we call them in probably once every other year just to make sure we're on par so that we understand all the cells, everything that we're putting in, that we're going to make it safe for our employees so that they can work alongside with these robots. So it's a nice resource to have. Don't be afraid to reach out to OSHA. They're not there just to make you cut a check. They're there to help you and keep the employees safe around.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, we've seen a wide range from bigger companies that have full safety teams to smaller companies that pull in contract support, like you mentioned, to the case here. But I would just remind everybody, you deploy a robotic system and you get to leverage a collaborative robot in that. But all robotic systems need a risk assessment to make sure that the employees are going to be safe working next to those. It's just good business. And it's great to hear that the MIOSHA folks are proactively helping small businesses make sure that they get it right the first time so that as you go forward, you've got a project that is going to run and you can move faster.
Yeah.
So you talked about having the robot in your lab, and then I guess I want to go a little bit more on that time from when you put it on the floor. So now you're in production environment, right? You're cutting into production at some point, to getting that debugged, if you want to call it, and running at rate. So you're meeting your objectives of productivity. What was that kind of time frame? Did you have anything in that window that was unexpected from your previous, work in the lab, if you want to say?
Oh yeah, once you get it into the cell, it completely changes because I tried to set it up the best I could to mimic where I was going to be parking that robot. And then we expanded and got bigger and everything completely changed. So I had to deploy the robot and then figure out how I was going to make it work with the new setup, because I had it working pretty darn good with my little test cell that I had made, but now it's completely different. So to get it integrated into that, I think it was about a good 3-month process, something along that line, and then finding other little nuances with the programming and how I can make this better or make it run smoother and faster in this direction so that we can get less or faster production times out of it. And then within that 3-month period, I think I went and changed the program a few dozen times and changed some speeds around and fixed positions and just optimizing it for that particular work area that it was in. It was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. It was a headache kind of in my shop.
But though I think it's super practical, because most folks would envision it's going to be just a plug and play, take it from here and put it in there and run. And for those that haven't done it before, it's a common reality. And the commitment from the time you set it up online and run it, and daily there's things that are stopping production that you have to be very responsive to. We have customers that will put their robots on casters, so if they get in a situation where production is at risk, they can roll the robot out of the way, put a person back online so that they can meet the daily requirements, and then the next day try again. So in terms of that fight, but you said on the second one, remind me, what was the time frame from start to finish on the second install?
2 weeks.
There you go. So if you're learning your lessons on the first one, then your scaling capacity is absolutely a benchmark. I don't know many folks that can install an automation solution and have it run in full speed in this type of environment in that kind of time frame, unless you really take ownership in the science and you know it's yours to run that day.
Yeah.
which is fantastic to see your team have that commitment.
It was nice to have that support. Yeah, they got a little frustrated with me here and there because I mean I wasted a lot of product and wasted some time on the machine, but in the end of it all, now we're just pumping these discs out as fast as we possibly can to keep up with the demand that has come on since all of the world has gotten crazy. You know, every outdoor activity has gone nuts. So it's definitely something we had to get on top of while it was happening so we could keep on top when it did finally all come down.
Perfect.
So
Yeah, so let's drill into some of those benefits. I mean, I think ultimately that's you spend a lot of time and money. I'm always interested, what is the floor like? What's the culture? How are the operators engaging with it? How is management's view of the process? So not just your own experience, but for some of the other sides of the business, what are some of those results?
I can speak to my boss, and he definitely got real frustrated with me at some points, and he's just like, we got to get this moving forward, and I'm going as fast as I possibly can. Again, it's a whole learning curve trying to bring this whole new line into your shop. And after the frustration of time and effort, all I got was praise, because now this robot is doing the work of 3 people for hours in the same cycle time it takes for that disc to be made. So I mean, it's just, you go through them ups and downs, but if you don't have them ups and downs, then the highs aren't so high and the lows aren't so low. So I mean, you keep that even board, you're not going to have that exhilaration that you have when you finally get that product running properly, and now your production has exponentially went up because this whole entire cell is in and working, and you're saving saving the employees from just having to do the same tedious labor over and over, day in and day out, and production just continues to fall at that point. You start automating it, and that production just continues to go up and up and up.
Is there any, from the frontline workers on the floor, what's their perception? If they see this as a job threat, a job enhancer, are they neutral? Any comment from the worker side of the business?
You get everything from everybody. You know, you got a whole peanut gallery out there on your floor watching you deploy all these robots, and they're all, oh, this is going to take my job. I'm just not going to have a job anymore. I'm not going to be able to work here anymore. And that's not the case. You still need key employees to be able to operate these robots and work in conjunction with these robots. So it's very mixed feelings on the floor, but as long as you just explain to these people, this isn't here to replace you, this is here to make your day easier. I mean, that's bottom line for it all. They're not there to replace you. You still have to have the human aspect in the shop to be able to run these. I mean, I would love to say that they're perfect, but they're not. They're robots. They do what you tell them to do, and that's all that they do. So it's your employees aren't going to go anywhere, but you definitely get mixed emotions on your floor once you start showing and deploying all these robots into your shop. You definitely hear the uproar.
Are some of the folks getting more responsibilities with the robots in terms of, have you reached that point yet where they're taking some daily effort to keep them up and running?
Oh yeah, I have. We got our 3 operators that now are completely trained and probably know a little bit more than I do about them, because they work with them on a daily aspect. They are always out there reconfiguring, retooling if the different disc is coming through, managing and repositioning spots if need be. It's nice to see people take the want. Once you do get it deployed and they're questioning everything about it, and then you start teaching them a little bit about it and they get a grasp and an understanding for how it operates and how it works, it just makes it really, really nice to have people that are willing to work with these robots instead of just naysaying them and saying, oh, it's just here to take my job. And it's nice, but you have to have the willingness out of that person as well.
That makes sense. And what we've seen is across the board is that the definition of work is a dramatic difference between being an operator and being a technician. And when you can engage and enable frontline associates to become a technician, which means, you know, changing waypoints and clearing fault codes, their purpose in the workplace is exponentially increased. I'm reaching, but did you guys give the robot a name?
No.
Okay, I figured I'd ask, you know. It's been done, you know, but I'm just curious. All right, so in terms of the numbers and the metrics, anything there, you mentioned earlier a throughput number, anything else you can share about how the financials look with the decision now that you've been running it for a period of time?
Not really my side of it.
Okay.
I just see a lot more product flying out the door.
You mentioned, what, 588,000?
Yeah, on my first deployment, it has, I think it's 668 days old, and it has 588,000 parts that has been processed through that robot. And that's not including the first, let's say, 9 months of its life anyway, because it lived with me. I didn't turn on my count until I had it up and I thought, oh, this is this is production now. This is what it's doing. We're no longer in the testing phase. So, I mean, just, that's incredible to me, having that many parts already.
Sure, 3 shifts.
And then, I mean, my new deployment that I had, it's got 168 days on it. We're at almost 200,000 parts off of that one.
How many shifts a day do you run?
We're running 3 shifts a day. The only day we don't open the shop is Sunday. Everybody gets to go home. But all of our robots are still working. 24/7, 365. They don't shut off unless there's a problem with them.
What our experience would say is that payback probably on that investment is going to be in the 6 to 9 month range if you're running multiple shifts on a tool.
Oh yeah, you got to figure we probably had 6 to 9 employees just hot stamping the discs all day, every day. That's all they did. And now we have the same employees doing other tasks around the shop while the robot is still stamping these for them. And now they package them up and send them out the door instead of having to stamp each individual stamp themselves.
We talked enough about the second deployment. I think having visited your place, you know, I like to draw lines. How has automation enabled your business to grow?
Huge. We wouldn't have been able to get out all the product that we need.
I mean, if you have an expansion going on, correct?
Oh yeah, we're actually doubling up the size of the facility right now. I don't know if y'all know where we're at. We're just down Grand River from here. Just another huge building, double, same exact size that we have now, we're putting in, so that we're able to continue to provide this product to everybody. And it's helped us grow immensely. I mean, we wouldn't been able to keep up with demand that we had.
Sure. Oh, and it's got to be giving your team confidence to know that you can add the equipment, add automation, and not be subject to the additional labor, which is so difficult to find in the market right now.
Yeah, that's a huge problem we're having right now.
All right, last question, and then we're going to go to Q&A. So what are your future ambitions with automation and robotics?
Well, like I said in the very beginning of this, Jim Kenner, the guy who founded the company, he says, I want to live in Hawaii and turn it on with the push of a button. It'll be there one day, maybe, but that is the goal, to completely automate every process that we have in that shop, except for our quality control. That is done, it needs to be done with human hands, just to inspect the parts, make sure there's no sharp points, anything along that line, because the internet is a harsh place when it comes to bad product that goes out the door, and we hear it back tenfold. I'm sure of it. I don't have to deal with too much of that, but just to automate all of them repetitive processes that a person really doesn't need to do. You can set this robot up to take care of all of these processes, and then just have the quality people there to maintain them robots for you, make sure them work cells are operating optimally, your parts are coming off correct. It's just, it needs to all be automated. I believe every company has processes within their shop that could be automated And whether it takes you 2 weeks or 2 years to be able to achieve that, it's worth it in the end.
Bang. Roman, why don't you jump up here, and we're going to go to Q&A. Roman, again, is our lead robot engineer, all things.
Hey, guys. Hello.
And if there's questions, I know you mentioned there's Ethernet inputs coming for Q&A, but please, most important, we're here to see if we can't help you with any questions you might have about taking the first step in your journey, or maybe taking a step in this direction.
Two questions. One, has Jim looked his flight deploy yet? And two, what is the one thing you would say to a manufacturer that was pondering making this decision?
Jump in and do it head first. It's worth it. It's very worth it. And has it? No, he hasn't booked his trip to Hawaii yet. But you just have to look at your employees and see who has the drive to be able to or want to help you with that journey. To automate things, it doesn't take one person. It takes a crew of people to get it done. One brain can't think of everything that you need to do for it. It's important to have first that confident person, and then build that team around that confident person to be able to take this on.
She's gonna let you speak into the mic.
Sorry. Hi, how did you develop that entrepreneurial spirit in your organization, or did it already exist, or was that you because you wanted to make this happen? How did you develop that?
I don't know, to be completely honest with you. I mean, again, I was told they would like the shop to be automated, and it was a cool concept to me to think about, I'll start automating things. I can do this, I have a very confident self, me, and it's just, I don't know how to answer that one. It's hard because the guy I learned from, Jim Hawking, how to do what I do, because I originally came in there to do maintenance and do tool and die, make all their molds for them. That's what I originally went there for, and now all of a sudden I'm automating the whole entire shop. And it's just, I think it had to do a lot with me having my confident spirit saying, well, we can do that. I'll figure that out. I can learn how to do that. And that's the person you need to find. That's already they're in your company. You just got to talk to them. They're there for you, and you just have to give them that ability to be able to do it.
I think a lot of it is his confidence for sure, and his problem-solving skills, being able to look at a problem and figuring out a solution. He was just really good at that, and he didn't stop. He kept on going. He kept on improving, and I think that was one thing that is always nice to see in our customers is somebody that can do that. And if you can find somebody in your company, an organization that has that power, you can do a lot. And it's shown here with Alan.
And I think that's consistent across the board. A champion in your business is the spearhead to the floor. Companies that have great leadership, but no frontline person that has the time and willingness to overcome that will lead to a false promise, because otherwise you're going to go, in many cases it makes sense. The third-party integration markets are there to serve turnkey solutions. So, for companies that don't have the right mix, it doesn't mean they don't have a path to automate, and obviously they're very good at what they do. They're good customers of ours, so to that end, we support them and steer customers in their direction when it makes sense to get that help. But for any company that has the right secret sauce in the company relative to a champion, you save just a lot of, it's less about the money, although that's important, and the time, although that's important. You get the institutional knowledge. You know how to do it, so the next one's 2 weeks. And what we've seen for sure is that nobody knows your business better than you, so how you apply automation to your problems can be very unique if you know how to use the tools to solve the problems that you have. So in the field, we always see this, just the next application is fascinating because this company that owns 5 or 10 robots now knows how to use it in a way that solves a specific problem in their business, a way that no third party could easily see and help them with. And so to that end, I think it's, what Discraft is showing is the ownership proposition of the technology. It's not just a cash transaction, it's a culture that leads to them seeing how it makes their business better.
Yeah.
Some other questions?
You mentioned that you had to do a lot of building your own accessories and things like that just to set up all the automation. How much of that were you self-sufficient with, like 3D printing them, coming up with your own concepts or designs? Were you all done in-house, or you relied on a lot of outside source?
I mean, I've never 3D printed before this either. So that was a whole nother learning hump that I had to get over and figure out how that all worked. And then as for the machine building and the machining and all that kind of stuff, it just kind of comes natural to me. It was just, I have a big pile, a big pile of steel, whatever I need to build, and I have a lot of CAD background from machining and stuff before I came to Discraft when I was working out as a heavy-duty repairman. And again, you just have to have somebody that will be able to, like he said, spearhead the whole idea to be able to get this project done. And finding that perfect person within your organization already to be able to do that for you. It's hard to answer some of these questions because I just don't understand.
Talk about your fingers, the fingers you designed.
The fingers I designed? You take the part that you need, you place the part into a big block basically, and you shape it around that so that it'll pick up your product that you're looking for. I mean,
He's making it sound easier than it is, but
it is. It just comes to me like it's just common sense. It's like, oh, you need to pick this up. Okay, make a gripper that fits that.
And he did a great job with it because he's got a stack of discs, if you can imagine, 30 or 40 of them. And the way he designed the fingers and he's grasping these parts, he's only grasping one at a time. And he did a great job of concepting that out. And what he did is he took an existing product of ours, a Robotics gripper, and he designed fingers that were to fit onto that. So I thought that was
Which
good.
is, I think, part of the Baco, value is to be able to help with all of these details and work to the pull of the customer, right? You pull from us what services you need, and we're there to help you with that. So we have a full line card of automation accessories that go with the robot, but in many cases, they need to be customized to the application, like the gripper fingertip example. So I think it's from our side, we would say, hey, we've got a full menu of technologies that can enable a great many applications. Picking the right gripper will still always require the right fingertips on the gripper, and that's usually where the customer knows best. So I think to that end, it's a good example of taking a basis of technologies that you've learned well, have a team to support you with, and then try stuff and make it work.
There was a lot of trial and error in all of this. I mean, it wasn't something that just came naturally and all of a sudden it happened. Like you said, the classes I went to go take, and then the learning curve to be able to make the end effectors that I have. And we went through trial and error with some grippers and things like that. And it's definitely a lot of, like I said, trial and error and just stick-to-itiveness. You gotta do it. You gotta just stay in it, keep your head in the game, and you can definitely automate anything. I have that belief now. I didn't before, but I have that belief now after going through this whole process that you can automate anything. I don't care what it is.
Other questions?
Looks like we have time for about one more question if anybody has one. And remember, they also have an expo booth out here, so you can feel free to talk to Mike or Aaron after as well.
Yeah, Alan's going to be hanging around as well for the day, so if you want to swing by the booth, if you want to talk more specifically, feel free to do that.
I think there was one thing that he talked about, how his employer wanted to live in Hawaii and work on the robots. Well, now that's more feasible now with a new tool they're using where they can access the robot remotely and troubleshoot it. And they're one of the first here in Michigan that were able to beta test it. So maybe you could talk to that for the last 30 seconds here.
Oh yes, the beta testing. That was a heck of a lot of fun. So we talked with Kai from UR, I do believe, and she's like, "Hey, you guys are the greatest thing we could ever ask for. Here, we need to get you into this beta testing." So to be able to remotely monitor and remotely control them robots from anywhere in the world. I mean, the first meeting that we had with her on Zoom or whatever it was, she had a robot in Denmark. She's controlling from, I do believe she was in Ann Arbor at the time, and sending me text messages to my phone from the robot in Denmark over to here. That was absolutely incredible. Being able to remotely control them, I mean, especially if you're running a lights out operation. Your guy on call that evening, he gets a text message, robot says, "Oh, I crashed." So then you look on the cameras, you see it on the cameras, and you can go on there and you can move the robot in any manner as if you were standing right there next to it. You have the full pendant right there on the screen remotely, wherever you're at in the world. And it's nice to be able to get it restarted, reset, and hit the go button, and nobody had to go up to the shop. Nobody had to go touch anything. Nobody had to do anything but log onto a computer for a good 15 minutes, get it taken care of, and hit the go button, and it's back producing for you. That whole UR Connect, what is it?
That's the Insights.
Insights,
Yep,
that's what
yep.
it is. Yeah, it's worth it. It's a nice little
Yeah, it's
little
very-
program to
for
have
sure.
to be able to get into your robots remotely and not have to always send a guy or have a guy there sitting on fire watch for 8 hours every day. You know,
And just, I mean, maybe to expand on it, is so from Universal Robot standpoint, they offer this Insights. It's pretty affordable upgrade to be able to get that remote access. And then they have another step up. It's called the Performance Package. So if you wanted to have Universal Robots as a backstop for support, looking at your programming, looking at your uptime, they can come in from their standpoint and provide additional assistance in your development of your application and your deployment. So what we found is that we try real hard to be the frontline interface on the technology. We've worked with the robot for 9 years. We know it really well, but we don't know everything. So knowing that Universal Robots has got our back, if we ever get a question that stumps us, we know the team there real well, and we get them engaged right away to support that. They've got a system in place where you register your robot in their system. So if you wanted to start a ticket and learn about an issue, you can interface with them directly on that interface. So it's been great to be part of their journey. They've matured a lot over the last 10 years in this market, and there's a reason why they're the world leader in collaborative robots. That's simple.